Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm doing a reply, or whatever you want to call it. You want to call it a response or a reply? Same to me. To Torp. Torp recently made a video talking about UBEREATS and their AR doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And I can agree with Torp. Now, the whole thing where Torp lives in northern Kentucky. He's not that far away from downtown Cincinnati, which is across the bridge. I can relate to something like that back in the 90s, where I used to work at a pizzeria. This is going way before the gig economy. Some people probably didn't get it when I said 90s. And in order to go across the river to the town, you got to go 3 miles down, and then you make a right, and it's about a quarter of a mile, and it's a little bridge, connects you to the other side of the town, and then you got to go another 3 miles down that way to get into town and do a delivery over there. But what happened is, one year, they closed the bridge, totally closed the bridge. So in order to get across the river to the town, you have to go to like 2 towns over. You're looking at over an hour to go all the way around the universe to get to that town. So we stopped doing deliveries. But let's say that happened during the way things are right now with the gig economy, and especially with UBEREATS. And you had an UBEREATS order for picking up from that pizzeria, and you need to go across the river. And the bridge is totally closed. UBEREATS doesn't understand that. It's not that it's impossible to do. It's that a lot of times the GPS doesn't even update. That's another issue too, Torp. The GPS doesn't update sometimes. And it looks like to UBEREATS, because they have GPS as well, and it's like, we don't see a bridge closure, but the bridge is closed. I can take a video if you want. I can take a picture, a video. I can bring a news channel down here and show you that the bridge is closed. There's no getting across the bridge. So any driver that's using the UBEREATS, they're going to decline all those orders. All those orders are going to be declined. Why should that affect the AR of the drivers, where it's almost impossible to do these type of orders? Where it should be 10, 15 minutes to get across because the bridge is open, when it is open. Now that the bridge is closed, you're looking at over an hour to go around. Because you got to go to the next bridge, which is way out there to freaking Tijuana. And I can understand why Torp would not like to take a lowball offer going to Cincinnati, especially with UBEREATS. The issue is with UBEREATS. Because UBEREATS does not understand what's going on downtown Cincinnati for drivers that live in northern Kentucky. They're totally oblivious to that. Oblivious. They have no clue whatsoever. And other situations similar to northern Kentucky, there's other states that have some kind of locations that are similar, just like it is in northern Kentucky. And there are also drivers there doing UBEREATS, and they're in that similar, almost similar situation. They want to stay in that area where they want to do UBEREATS. They don't want to keep sending them across the river. We don't want to be there. Now, on the other hand, you might say that maybe people from Cincinnati who are placing orders, they might be placing orders right across to northern Kentucky. to pick up orders from there and bring wives. Downtown Cincinnati doesn't have, I bet you they have more eateries and stores than Northern Kentucky. And I don't even have to guess. But there's something else going on. And that's going to be on my next video, because I finally put it to rest what's going on with the long distance deliveries with UBEREATS. That's going to be on my next video. But the whole thing with AR, with the gold and platinum and diamond, well, Torp, I was a pro diamond status for like 9 months. And as soon as June 3rd, this month, June 3rd, when it went into effect, the AR, they added that into the tier system. The next day, they dropped me to the lowest, to the bottom of the barrel. From Diamond Pro to the bottom of the barrel. The very next day. And I got this taco shop that I pick up orders from every single day with UBEREATS. I did one today. The last one was 2 weeks ago. And I go to this taco shop every single day with UBEREATS. Ever since this bullshit with the AR, it's been sometimes a whole week goes by to send me to that taco shop. And any other locations. And they throttling me, and they're sending me $2 and $3 offers going 15, 17, 20 miles away. Which that's going to be on my next video, why they're doing that. Because I have a friend that we put this into a test. I'll talk about it on my next video. Do these companies ever, at one point, maybe they did at the beginning. Maybe at the beginning they did. But later on, common sense and logic, it's been out the window with all the gig economy companies. UBEREATS happens to be one of them. Obviously. Under normal situations, we can understand. But these companies don't understand that we do not live in a perfect world. And the geography, it's never perfect from one market to another. But according to them, it's like it is perfect. There's no issues, there's no problems. Of course there is. We do not live in a perfect world. But they forcing this perfect world on the drivers in these apps. They want us to be the superheroes so they can benefit, the companies can benefit, while you're in debt. And now I have to pay out of my pocket for the AI. That's what's going on right now. If you're under 50 and even under 30, 30% is actually where it begins, 30 and up. But if you happen to be down to 10% or 15%, you're going to pay out of pocket. How you pay out of pocket? $3 going 12 miles. How much is the gallon of gas? $3.60. So 12 and 12 is what? 24. That's more than a gallon of gas for my car. So I'm paying $3.60 and they pay me $3. So I'm in a hole 60 cents after that delivery. So I'm paying my way to raise my AR. If that's not fucking bizarre in 2025, I don't know what is. But that's what people need to do now. You got to pay out of your pocket so you can raise your acceptance rate. And Torp, you don't have to do this, but it will help. Watch one of UDM's video where he worked 8 hours and he made under $80 with DOORDASH in Miami. The biggest freaking market, Miami. And it's not somebody that's doing DOORDASH for 6 months or a year. UDM has been doing it 5 years plus. He knows the area, he knows the neighborhoods, he knows the locations. He's got it down to a T, and still, he knows all the tips and tricks and the strategies, and still, recently he made a video doing DoorDash. 8 hours. He's out there for 8 hours, made less than $9 an hour. And that's with DoorDash. That's what's going on right now with these companies. It's getting way out of hand. And the prices are through the roof, the prices. Especially if you think Northern Kentucky's got it bad, trust me, it's not as bad as it is here. By the way, they'll sell you a car over 10 years of age with 200,000 miles on it, and they're asking 10 grand. 10 grand for over 200K miles on vehicles for used cars here. $10,000 and more. You want to talk about insanity? First of all, people won't even touch a used car over 200,000. People say they're looking for used cars somewhere like 100 to 150 max. So you can imagine what the price is for a used car that only has 100,000 miles on it. I'm not even going to say the number. I'm not even going to bother saying the number. How ridiculous this shit is. Because I bought a car with 100,000 miles used. I paid 2 grand. That was it. And we're not talking about 100 years ago. This is back in 2017. 2 grand. Look what's going on now. And you got these gig economy companies and UBEREATS playing shenanigans, adding more gasoline to the fire. Of course they're doing it for their stockbrokers. They don't care about their customers. They don't care about their drivers. They care about themselves. That's been established, Torp. That has been established too long ago. We'll be talking about this 2 and 3 years ago. And what I've been saying, that every year it's going to keep getting worse. And it has. And it has. You can't tell me otherwise. And it has been getting worse every year. More and more about the selfishness with these gig economy companies. And everybody's trying to copy DoorDash. Even Uber. Even Uber is trying to copy DoorDash. Yeah, the insanity is the norm now. The bizarreness is the norm. There you go. So yeah, I can agree with Torp what's going on in his market. I wouldn't want to go in a big city and try and do deliveries. If it's in a different area, say it's the same distance, it's the same miles, in Northern Kentucky, and the delivery is in Northern Kentucky where the customer is, and it's the same distance as it is in Cincinnati. Say the same distance. I'd rather do the customer that lives in Northern Kentucky than go downtown Cincinnati. I wouldn't want to get caught up there either. I don't want to be stuck in there for hours. I want to be where there's less traffic. I can do the delivery and get the hell out of there quick and get back to the hot spots so I can do more deliveries. I don't want to get stuck in I do not want to do deliveries in cities either. I have a limit now. Before, I tolerated shit when I was younger. But that has been building up over the years, has reached the point that I can't tolerate shit anymore. I'm not dealing with fucking paying for parking, dealing with traffic, dealing with idiots in the city. Customers don't know where they are. They cannot put proper instructions on these deliveries, and you're in a big fucking city? No way. That's why I don't deal with cities. It would be nice for them to know that it would be nice if all these apps would add it. Well, they did it in New York. They did it in New York City. But this needs to be added every single market out there. You can put in the app that I want to deliver only in this location and nowhere else. So they can stop sending you 20 towns over, like UBEREATS does. But you'll see in the next video what I'm talking about with these 20 towns over deliveries that UBEREATS trying to send us. And we all thinking, is the customers that doing this? We'll see that in the next video. So with that, I'll wrap this up. I agree with Torp. It doesn't make any sense because logic and common sense has been out the window for years with all the gig economy companies. They just don't care. Period. End of story. Catch you guys later.